Does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? And the home of the
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Happy Thursday, y'all. I know y'all are like, where has this girl been? I know she lying. She is not live. Yes, y'all, this is not a pre-record. This is not a premiere. This is April, Unshakable with April, live in the flesh. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. And I'm so glad to see that you guys were enjoying the rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. Listen, if you know anything about me, I love this country. I absolutely love America. I believe it is the greatest country on the planet. And so I'll say this. My goal is to always edify and encourage people, obviously, to follow Christ, right? However, this channel is actually, it is a hybrid. It is a hybrid of where I take the political and cultural things of the day and I blend it together with my biblical worldview, not in a synergistic kind of way, but it's the biblical worldview that grounds my commentary. And then on top of that, I got to bring a little black girl swag to it. So when I stumbled upon this rendition of the Star Spangled Banner, it actually comes from a subscriber. He has been subscribed to the show. He is an Atlanta musician here, and he was like, listen, sent me a DM and was like, he ain't say it like this, but he's like, what do you think about this? And the moment I heard it, I had the same reaction. The hairs on the back of my arms and my neck just stood up, not in a idolatrous kind of way, but just the blessing that America is and the hope that this country has been able to give so many people. That is something to celebrate and to praise God for. He is the one that raises up kings and lets kingdoms establish, and then he's the ones that tear them down. And you guys, we don't know how long we'll be able to maintain this constitutional republic. We'll be able to keep it, or should I say, our freedoms will be as free as we can be this side of heaven if we can figure out how to keep it. So that's one thing this platform is dedicated to doing. I want to wake up as many people as possible. I want to be like the modern day Harriet Tubman, where I'm snatching folks, souls and physical bodies, off of the slave plantations of the mind and of the spiritual, the weights of spiritual bondage, such as sin and all of these. There's just been so much generational baggage that so many of us carry. I just want to do my little part and entertain you guys and educate you all at the same time. So welcome to tonight's live stream. It has been a minute. I went on vacation for a little bit, took a step back. I'm still putting out content, but y'all got Unshakable bootleg edition, meaning there was no fancy lights, right? There was no fancy lights. There was no iPad, no stream deck. Actually I did. I had the iPad in my lap so that I could show some clips, but it was just me raw and uncut and unfiltered. And I had a blast. Got a little tan, just a little bit, not too much. I didn't spend a lot of time in the sun because I burn easily. But we had a great time, and it is so good to be back with you guys. So I'm sure you're wondering, April, what do you have planned today? What is going on with this thumbnail? What are you saying? Well, as you guys know, I think I probably did about 3 videos talking about the landmark Supreme Court case or ruling that happened down in Louisiana, where they determined that all of these, majority black districts that have been that have been built and based on race, how that is unconstitutional. And we've seen the crash out from the pro wokey woke blackity black crowd. We've seen everybody from Raphael Warnock to Jamal Bryant to Al Sharpton, and take to their mics and talk about how this is setting us back to the Jim Crow South, to where the political power of black people is being just ripped. The rug is being ripped right from under us. Well, if you watch this channel, you know that I actually celebrate that ruling, and I'm so glad. I am so glad because it is time. It is time, and if you haven't had an opportunity to watch the content that I did on that ruling, you are missing out. Because what I've done is I've explained the fact that yes, the political power of the blacks, namely the Congressional Black Caucus, they are absolutely losing it. But that is a win. It is a win for America, and it is a win for Black America, because the people who've been subjugating you has not been the rich white Republicans that are nowhere to be found in your districts. It's been the ones that look like you all along. They've been working in concert with each other. We got a couple of names for them. We could call them the Iron Triangle. That's your pulpit pimp preacher, the black civil rights worker, and the black politician. Or we can call them the Afrostocracy. The Afrostocracy is a little bit more broad than the Iron Triangle, because it includes the performers, the preachers, the professors, the politicians, and the perform. Did I say the performers? I can't remember if I said performers or pastors already. But anyway, that's basically like a modified version of the Iron Triangle. But at the end of the day, oh yeah, they've had a lot of political power, and they've had this political power for well over 49 years. Actually, it's probably been close to 60 years, but their reign of terror is coming to an end. So we're celebrating that. So tonight's content, the reason why I put on the thumbnail that we need to just leave these Democrats alone is for a number of reasons. But one of the main reasons why I say that is because we have raised a whole generation of people who, y'all, they don't know the difference between freedom and funding. Right? So we've been taught that, all of this black representation, like if you don't have representation that looks like you, then you'll be marginalized and disenfranchised. But that is absolutely not true. And we have the results of that thinking to prove the opposite of it. When I talk about this generation that's been trained to not know the difference between freedom and funding, what I mean is that they think that if the government gives them something, then that must mean that the government loves them. And I'm like, no, that's not what that means. What that means is that the government kind of just found a leash that fits, and they've been looping it around your neck to control you, and they've been doing it for a very long time. What you need to understand is that whoever feeds you, they're the ones that can tell you when to sit down. The ones that house you, whoever houses you, they can tell you where to live. Whoever is educating you and your children, then they can then tell you what to believe. So the point is, whoever becomes your provider, i.e., think government dependence, free stuff, handouts, all the things that the Democrat Party dangles in front of your face, whoever becomes your provider eventually becomes your master. This is why, if you haven't figured out already, I am working on a documentary called Slavery is a Choice. I know, I get it. The title of the film, it is absolutely controversial. It's designed to make you clutch your pearls and be like, say, what now? What you mean? Slavery is a choice. I mean, I be tracking with you, Sister April, when you say things like the Democrat Party is subjugating people, but are you saying that our ancestors had a choice to be enslaved? Well, in essence, yes, I am kind of saying that, but it's deeper than that. I think I need you to think above the surface level of that statement. But the reason why that film is so important is because we can prove without a shadow of a doubt that not only was slavery a choice then, and I know that makes you uncomfortable, but you will be okay. We can actually prove that slavery is a choice now because we're still seeing people choose it every single day. You see that. And so, this is why, if you listen to my content, you will hear me refer to the Democrat Party as this government plantation. I call it that because plantations don't always have to look like a plantation, right? Sometimes the whole concept of plantation life looks like a housing voucher or a benefit card. Sometimes, not always, it can look like student loan forgiveness where they offer you this and say, oh, it's just all is forgiven. And they don't really explain to you how the strings attached is just another form of slavery. Sometimes, sometimes the plantation looks like a promise of equity. Isn't that one of the buzzword phrases of the day? Equity and inclusion. Sometimes it's not just the equity that they put in front of your face to make it seem like they're trying to make things equal and fair for you. Sometimes it looks like a politician smiling in your face saying, "Hey, we're here to help." And I'm like, "Help? Listen, let me tell you and school you guys and tell you a little something about all this help, right? Do you want to know why it was absolutely necessary for the Supreme Court to rule against drawing these congressional maps based on race? I'll break it down and make it real simple. We needed all of those majority black congressional districts. It started in Louisiana, but it's going to rinse and repeat all over this country. We needed that broken up because these black politicians who come from these congressional black strongholds, y'all, oh, they've been helping the black community for over 60 years. But somehow, when we analyze and look at all the help they've been giving, somehow the schools are worse. Our families are weaker. The neighborhoods are more dangerous. The children are more confused. But do you want to know what? The government. The government has gotten bigger than ever. And these same politicians have enriched themselves and they've become more prosperous than ever. So at some point, we've got to stop calling all of that help. Stop calling it help and recognize that nothing these jokers have done has helped you. I mean, because if it has, can we go down the list of how they've helped? I mean, all we got to do is go down to South Carolina and look at Jim Clyburn's district, and the people are poorer and worse off than they were than before he got there. Same thing with Maxine Waters' district. You can just go pull up the website of the Congressional Black Caucus, Hank Aaron's district, not Hank Aaron, Hank Johnson. Sorry, that's the ball. That's the y'all know who Hank Aaron is. We talking about Hank Johnson, Mr. Smart Sparky Man, Mr. Guam. We're gonna tip the island of Guam over. That smart one. Yeah. He's down here in Georgia. District is trash. Okay, trust me, I know. We know these politicians who claim to be representing you, because you've been told, well, unless they look like us, the only proper representation must be the kind that looks like us. Oh, well, they've helped us, all right? They've helped us down to the bottom, and they've helped themselves. But what they've done, they've not helped us in a measurable way that we can look at and examine and say, thank you for doing this. What they've done, they have orchestrated and managed to control the decline because it's declining, all while at the same time screaming at press conferences and blaming their outcomes on white supremacy. It's the biggest hustle. of this darn century. So today, y'all, we're going to talk about how to stop. It's easy for me to criticize. Tonight is about solutions. I want to talk about how can you stop waiting for a political savior, and how you need to start reclaiming your individual power. I want to teach you how to think like capitalists. I've been talking about capitalism a lot, and I've also been talking about government dependency a lot. Tonight we're going to talk about, well, how do you think like a capitalist and leave these darn Democrats alone and stop thinking like a government dependent. You should consider tonight's live stream. This is going to be a crash course in how you can fire the government from the job that it was never supposed to have in the first place. So we're going to get into it tonight. I'm so glad that you're here. If you could do me one quick favor, like this video, share it with your tribe, engage with the live stream. We're going to dismantle a whole lot of lies tonight, and I can't wait to get started. So the first thing we need to do, we need to fire up this iPad. It died, and I have it plugged up, but I don't know why it doesn't want to work. I thought that, you know how you can plug it up, and while it's plugged up, it can just get some power. I've been trying to turn it on, and it won't turn on. But that's fine. I always have my trusty backup. I got my trusty laptop, and I have a few notes. Not a lot, but just a few. Hold on. Give me one quick second. All right. Got my laptop up. We're going to start with some lie. Lie number one is that we've been told that the government exists to provide for you. Y'all, that is a lie.
Flag on the plate.
That is a lie. That is the mother of all lies. It is the lie that birthed every welfare program, every social justice slogan, all of the equity scams, every poverty pulpit pimp sermon, and every Democrat campaign promise aimed at keeping people emotionally attached to the very system that keeps them weak. That is a lie. But the reason why it's a lie, no one's ever explained to you why it's a lie. It's a lie because, y'all, that is not even, it is so anti-American. It's not the American ideal. What people don't understand, the whole concept of this country, the idea of America, it was formed on the fact that it is government that doesn't give you your rights. No other country on the face of the planet has been formed with such a concept. It's the providence of God at work. The American idea was that our rights come from God. Government can't give you that. The government simply exists to protect what God already gave you. So if you can't understand that basic premise right there, you won't understand the beauty of America. You won't be able to celebrate the lyrics of the Star-Spangled Banner because you'll be like, I don't know nothing about this freedom you speak of because you have the wrong view of government and it is void of the knowledge of God. Point blank. When I like having smart friends, and I like having friends who have been in this political space longer than me and who know more than me, because when you sit at their feet and you listen to them talk about their journey through conservatism and how it was their foundational belief in the God of the Bible that kind of led them there, it makes the Declaration of Independence make so much more sense. Why? When you start with the knowledge of God first, and then you look at the Declaration of Independence that says, listen, we are endowed by our Creator with some inalienable rights, meaning like you can't get rid of these bad boys if you tried. And what are these rights? It includes life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not the guarantee of it, but just the pursuit of it. And it tells us that the government was instituted to secure those rights. Did y'all hear that? I think I'm talking to myself. Did y'all hear that? The government exists to secure those rights, not manufacture your happiness, not guarantee your outcomes, definitely not pay your bills, take care of you, raise your children, subsidize your laziness and your bad choices. It doesn't exist to replace a daddy or be a stand-in husband. It can't be your church. It can't be your conscience. This is why it's crazy to me when I hear people say, well, racism still exists. Well, no kidding, Sherlock. Of course it does. It's a sin. Did you really think that the government existed to become the conscience of people and to prick their conscience like the Holy Spirit to be like, well, it's wrong to be racist. Like if you say you don't like, black folks or white folks because of their race, it's sinful, right? That's not the government's job. The government cannot be a god. Government exists to secure rights, not guarantee your results. This is the fundamental problem that so many people miss. Do you want to know why? There are so many people who you might be listening to me right now and you're hearing me articulate this and you're confused. And some of you might be downright incensed is because you've been trained with a Marxist worldview by a Marxist educational system, and all you know is government dependence. This concept of freedom and liberty and inalienable rights, the whole concept is foreign to you. I just described to you the difference between freedom and socialism. And for some of y'all, this might be the first time that you've heard such a concept. And I'm glad you're in the right place. Don't click out. You're going to learn something tonight. And I'm glad to be the one to do it. Here's the concept. You've been taught where freedom exists, freedom says you have the right to pursue it. Socialism says you have to beg for what you want, not build. So freedom is saying, hey, you're free to build and pursue that which you want. Socialism says beg. Freedom, rooted in a biblical ethic, says steward what God gave you. Socialism comes behind it and says, no, you need to vote for somebody to take from someone else and give it to you. That's fair in a socialistic framework. Basically, socialism is telling you, if you're a democratic socialist, what I'm about to say is meant to offend you. Socialism basically tells me that you're a loser. You're a loser. Only losers think that it is okay to take from one group of people and give to another because they can't compete and figure out how to get it on their own. That you're a loser. Sorry. So, mayor of Seattle, mayor of New York, he is a bona fide privileged loser, but a loser nonetheless. The mindset of freedom requires maturity. You got to be mature to understand these truths. But when you have a dependency mindset, it rewards childishness. That's why I'm always saying, you have to think like a juvenile. To be a democratic socialist, to be a Marxist, you got to be a loser and absolutely childlike and imbecilic in your thinking. This is why leftist politicians, they love dependency because they love that whole master-slave relationship. And this is why I refer to the Democratic Party. I refer to it's a plantation. It's masters looking for slaves. And until you are awakened to these truths, you are a slave looking for a master. I'm not going to apologize for saying that. Democrats love the master-slave relationship because it's all they know. It's who they are. It's a part of their framework and their history. They're the party of the Confederacy and Jim Crow. I'm sorry, they haven't changed. Democrats know that dependent people are easier to control. They've got lots of experience at this. I'm talking like centuries, right? They've controlled lots of plantations during the slave times, plenty of slaves, and At this point, they are the subject matter experts on this. So who are we to fight them? This is why they like legal immigration so much. Who's going to pick the berries? It is. Experts on master-slave relationships. Here is what they know and what I am hoping that if you are listening to the sound of my voice, that you discover this tonight. Democrats know that a self-governing man is too hard to manipulate. They know this. That's why notice how they always attack manhood and masculinity. Because if they know you're self-governing, they can't control you. So they have to present manhood and masculinity as toxic. This is the cultural battlefield we're on right now. This is not just I like low taxes, they like high taxes. No. Democrats also know, so we just dealt with the attack on manhood, but they also know that a self-governing woman, she's too hard to threaten. They hate women like me. This is why they cater laws and legislation and everything to make it so attractive for women to be reckless, so that what'll happen is they'll make wrecks of their life, live their lives as orangutans, just a bunch of chaotic female imbeciles who can't manage that misery. And so the government knows that if we can get them to do that, then the government, can just swoop in and offer them solutions to fix it, right? Democrats also know that a self-governing family is too hard to enslave. Lord have mercy. You got a husband, a wife, and some kids? This is why they do everything in their power. We got to weaken the family. We have to have a whole identity movement called Black Lives Matter that exists solely to destroy the heteronormative nuclear family, because they know if you weaken the family, then the bedrock of civilization, everything else from that is going to fall apart. It's too hard to enslave. Our family, you can't come and breach the spiritual and ideological hedge that we have built around this home. You can try if you might. I don't shelter our children from the ideological weapons that are out there. What we do is we train them in apologetics and we teach them what to look for, so that when they are approached and assaulted with the concept of, well, boys can be girls. Polyamory is just normal, and you can be a girl and have a high body count and act just like a man. It's no big difference. Say what now? You try catechizing my kids with that and see what you gonna get. They will argue you down and have you looking like the fool that you are, and they are minors. Democrat Party has to weaken the family, because a strong family unit is too hard to control. That's why they hate it. They're never looking for ways to strengthen the family. They're always looking for ways to weaken it. This is why they want to offer you, hey, we got that free childcare that you've been looking for. We know how hard it's been to try to find somebody to watch Taekwon while you work. So what we gonna do is you can bring Taekwon as early as 6 weeks, and you don't have to pay for it. And then when you drop Taekwon off, by the time Taekwon is 1, he think his name is Taquana. Now all of a sudden he want to wear a tutu, and he won, and you like, this is strange. You don't know what they are teaching Taekwon. Why? The free always comes with stipulations and strings. The one that educates you gets to determine what they fill up in your head. That's why they got to destroy the family. These types of people are very easy to manage. All you got to do is whisper. This is what the Democrats do this so well. They get on their soapbox and they be like, they're going to take your benefits. They're going to cut off that EBT. They're going to cut off your Section 8 and your Medicaid and your Medicare. And then the fear steps in. The fear steps in and gets you to thinking that, well, what is I going to do? I surely can't take care of these things for myself. All these things should be a right that the government should provide. Suddenly, you got grown adults start voting like mindless hostages, not citizens, hostages. It's basically the blueprint for how you create a Democrat. Now, what I want to do, I have this clip that, let's see if we can get it on now, because this is awkward. That's too far away. I can see it, but it's just too far. Oh, okay. I don't think this gonna work, y'all. Y'all doing okay out there? Let's try this again. I have a clip that I want to show you guys of Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani. And I want you to listen to this clip. And I want you to listen to the language. Get past the good hair and the infectious, Middle Eastern smile. Get past all of that. I want you to listen to the language he uses, because this man is not talking about protecting your liberty. He is talking about managing your life. So take a listen to this clip.
This evening, New York Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury.
Every politician says New York is the greatest
city on the globe.
But what good is that if no one can afford to live here? City Hall is engulfed in corruption.
Unscientific
The cost of living is the real crisis. New Yorkers are being crushed by rent and childcare. The slowest buses in the nation are robbing us of our time and our sanity. Working people are being pushed out of the city they built. A mayor could change this, and that's why I'm running. I'll make buses fast and free.
so I can just get where I'm going.
I'll make childcare available to all New Yorkers at no cost.
I want to raise my kid in New York.
And I'll freeze the rent for every single rent-stabilized tenant.
These Eric Adams rent hikes are killing us.
Life in this city doesn't need to be this hard, but politicians like Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo want it to be this way. They care about their donors. They care about themselves. They don't care about you, the working class who keep this city running. This campaign is for every New Yorker who believes in the dignity of their neighbors. And the government's job is to actually make our lives better. We can afford to bring down the rent, have world-class public transit, and make it easier to raise a family. We can do all of that, and so much more, because this is New York. We can afford to dream.
Y'all, did y'all catch what he said? This man said the government's job is to make your life better. Everything he said, it always sounds real compassionate, don't it? It's just like, always, it sounds moral. It does. Always sounds like it's just the highest form of justice. Y'all, underneath all of that, all his little nice words, it's the same ugly assumption. You cannot build. The assumption is you can't build unless the government gives you permission, provision, and protection. Y'all, this ad is so disgusting and it is so insulting to me. Nothing this man said was empowerment. It was political babysitting. You had Shorty with one tooth in her mouth talking about Eric Adams' rent prices is ridiculous. Then you got them begging for the free buses, so I can get where I need to go. I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in being rocked to sleep by the same government that helped burn down, they burnt down the darn house. That's where we are right now. And I get it. I know my critics on the left, who hear me talk about how government is supposed to be limited, they're going to say, April, you sound like you don't care about people. I'm like, no, that's by no means, that is not it. I am a Christian. But don't conflate what I'm saying. When I talk about limited government, and what I mean by that It doesn't mean that I don't care about poor people. What it means is that I understand the government is not God. There is a difference. What Zohar Mamdani is trying to lead people to believe that he can offer is something that the government was never designed to do. When I say that the government should be limited, I'm not saying that compassion should be limited. What I'm saying is that bureaucrats should be limited, politicians should be limited. The federal government should not have unlimited authority to reach into your home, to reach into your wallet, to reach into your school, your church, your business, your healthcare, your children, your speech, and pretty much your whole future. That's what I am saying. But people are actually, I never thought I would see the day where I would hear people demanding that government actually do and be involved with all of those things. I'm like, this is what happens when you are a product of the K through 12 system, probably after 85, maybe. Before then, when you were actually taught civics, you didn't think like this. But the generations after that, they believe in that everything that Zohar Mamdani mentioned, that it is a right and that government is supposed to provide that. If you read what James Madison wrote and how he talked about that the powers delegated to the federal government, they were supposed to be few and defined, while the powers remaining with the states were numerous and indefinite. Few and defined, not bloated and bossy and intrusive and massive and manipulative, not all these $1 trillion sugar daddies with a surveillance camera. You can't say this, you can't go there, put a mask on your face, you can't go, you can't eat here. You like, say, what? Powers, few and defined. The founding fathers of this nation, I don't care, you can't make me hate them if you tried. Don't come to me with the way, you know they own slaves, and you know their slaves love them. Slavery is a choice, by the way. Speaking of which, let's take a quick, I don't have any super chats to get to. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. I want to share with you guys the latest project that I've been working on. It is super important, and I really hope that I can garner your support. Here we go.
Slavery is a choice. Now, some people tell you that freedom is a choice. Well, if freedom is a choice, how can slavery not be one? There are people in America right now who want you to believe that you have no choice when it comes to slavery. They want you to look at your past, and they want you to believe that your ancestors had no choice, therefore you have no choice. And if slavery was not a choice, how did 200,000 black people decide to take their freedom from their slave masters by running away or by killing them? Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." They understood the concepts of liberty. They understood the concepts of freedom. And they understood that sometimes, as Thomas Jefferson said, the tree of liberty must be irrigated with the blood of tyrants and patriots. It is his natural manure. In order to be free, you must be willing to shed blood. If a robber is going to come into a home, he first must bind the strong man. But if he doesn't bind the strong man will wait and will not allow his house to be shaken up. We must understand this, that freedom is not something that someone gives you. It's something that you accept. And you tell the man who decides to try to take your freedom that this is a death fight. They want you to believe that someone has the power to make you submit to slavery. And submitting to slavery is a sin. One or two things are going to happen here. One thing is you're not going to leave with a slave. One of us is going to die. Slavery is a choice.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. I appreciate your patience. This film is scheduled to come out in the summer of 2026. So we're thinking about August. We have filmed half of it and we've funded a significant amount of it ourselves. This film is actually written and directed by Vince Everett Ellison and produced and co-produced by me and Henry Hollywood Morris. And we have worked so hard to bring this film to our audiences. This is a work that I'm so passionately connected to. And I am so confident that it is going to absolutely change the conversations that we have about slavery, and it's going to liberate psychologically and deal with so many of the myths that we've been taught about liberty and slavery. And so I went ahead and I dropped the links down in the live chat. You are free to support the film in any denomination that you feel led to do. And we are making progress, and I'm super excited about it. So as we pick up and continue, y'all finally got the iPad to work. Yes. It's working. It's working. Hold on. Let me pull it up. So, as I was saying, you can't make me hate the founding fathers. Yes, these are flawed men. They were sinful, wretches just like the rest of us. But it was something so unique and profound about our founding fathers because they understood something that modern Americans have just forgotten. They understood that government is made up of sinful people. Like, if they knew one thing, they understood the depravity of man, and they knew that sinful people with too much power are going to do sinful things. Y'all, that's not political theory. That's just biblical anthropology. Like, that's what the Bible teaches about the depravity of man. We are told that man is fallen and sinful and wicked. So, why would we take fallen men, put them in government, give them our money, our children, our health care, our food supply, right? Our schools, our businesses, our neighborhoods, and then start clutching our pearls and acting shocked when they abuse power? Like, we did this. I mean, it's no different. It's like you might as well hand a toddler a Sharpie in a white room with white furniture and then act surprised when they start redecorating the walls. Talk about, mama, I was just drawing. Right? Like, we should expect the government to overreach. This is why we limit it. And it's not because we hate people. That is not it. It is because we actually understand people. Right? We understand people, we understand the human condition, and this is why this is necessary. So, we've already dealt with the first lie, right? Now we need to deal, these darn children, text me one more time, see what's gonna happen. We need to deal with the second lie. This second lie is that government programs are benevolent gifts. I don't know who told you that, but we're dismantling that lie. They're not gifts, okay? It's redistribution. What Zohran Mamdani has promised and so many other democratic socialists promise, y'all, the government doesn't have money. It doesn't operate a business and gets revenue from providing products and services and has a way to get paid. No, it has access to your money. The U.S. Treasury, basically the federal revenue that we have, it comes from us, the individual taxpayer. It comes from small businesses. It comes from corporations through taxes. So free buses, free childcare, free this, free that is not free. Someone is paying for it. The taxes that are collected fund government services, including the welfare, including healthcare and social services and job training and schools and all these other programs. So if you have a politician like a Zohran Mamdani talking about, well, we're going to give you free housing, and they're going to give you free healthcare too, and free childcare, and free food. Wow, really? Yeah, that's not how it works. He's lying. No, it's not possible. No. What people don't understand is that a snake oil salesman is absolutely a hustler. He's a hustler. So he's going to, if you think about it, I'm from New York. So I was educated in the New York City public education system. I know for a fact that I received a Marxist education. Everything that I have learned about the US government and our Constitution and the founding of this nation has been through self-study, because I did not learn it in school. I just didn't. I was actually shocked and upset when I learned and read documents such as Patrick Henry's letter. I mean, I was just like, why did I not hear this? So when you hear Zohran Mamdani talking about doing, and we're going to forgive this and give free that, I'm like, you're not giving me anything. You're taking money from somebody else, filtering it through this bloated bureaucracy, and please believe they skim not just political power, they skim some of the money off of the top, and then they hand it back the crumbs. They hand you back the crumbs like their name is like Mother Teresa or something. Like they're like, bless you, my child. And you're like, but everything costs more and it's more expensive. This is control. This is not humanitarian or charitable distribution at all. There is a way to have charity. Biblical charity is voluntary, not compulsory. When the government does it, it's government redistribution and it's coerced. You're forced. You don't have a choice. Your taxes just keep going up to pay for everything else. 9 times out of 10, something that you don't even get to consume. Whereas biblical charity, it flows from love. We give because we want to honor God. We want to honor the dignity of the person that we're giving it to. And the actual biblical charity actually honors the dignity of the person that's giving and the one that's receiving. But in the government system, government redistribution flows from force. You gonna do this or else. And then what happens? You create government dependence. And it turns the receiver into an entitled client of the state. Healthcare is a right. You've heard it. Healthcare is not a right. You have a right to provide your own healthcare, but government-sanctioned, government-funded healthcare is not a right. Because I should have the right to say, I don't want your healthcare. I choose to manage my own risk. This is why Obamacare was so bad. Because you were forced to get it. You were like, I don't even want to participate in this system. Like during the time when Obamacare came out, we were like raw food vegans. My kids had never even had an ear infection, let alone a cold. I didn't want anything that the government was offering. And we were penalized because we didn't want to buy into their trash system. All it does is make you a client of the state. And once you become a client of the state, you better believe that the state, they're going to start managing your behavior. You want government health care? We get to determine, you better get these vaccines. And we don't care about your choice and your body and your autonomy. You're going to take what we give you because we're the provider, right? They tell you how to eat, what to get, what you can't eat. The provider, the one that provides is always the one that controls. This is why I keep saying, whoever provides for you controls you. And I don't know how it works in your home, but in this home, we provide, we call them the squatters. We love them. I love my children, but we call them the squatters. We provide for them, but therefore, what we say goes. We don't care if they don't like it. We call the shots because it's our home and it's our resources. It's the same with the government. Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have a safety net whatsoever. That's not my argument. I didn't say that. What I am saying is that, listen, we're not some cruel anarchists who reject all forms of order or compassion. What we are not are cruel individuals who I would never advocate that if you see someone suffering, that you intentionally cause suffering or hardship to others. You have widows among us. You have the orphaned, people who've lost their spouses, people who are facing life crises alone without family. We get that. The orphans, the children without parents who've passed away. We're not arguing those things. Those categories of people rely on the generosity and support of the community. You have disabled people, individuals who have a physical impairment or a mental impairment that limits their ability to perform tasks or to participate in everyday life. We get that. Same with the elderly. The older population who've reached an old age, they may require additional care and assistance. But outside of that, we get the people who find themselves in legitimate crisis. Natural disasters, sudden unemployment. I understand that. A healthcare emergency that can threaten your well-being, no argument. There is always a place for temporary assistance. We get that. But outside of that, this government dependent stuff, no. It's a trap. Once something that was meant to be a temporary measure, once it becomes your default way of life, where you rely on this aid for a continued and extended and sustained period of time or indefinitely, what was originally designed to be a safety net to catch those who temporarily fall, it becomes like a hammock. Like you just in it, you just relaxing. You like you on vacay. That's what it's become, a prolonged form of support that encourages dependence rather than empowerment. Once it gets to that point, it undermines the original purpose of assistance. It's turned the short-term relief into this long-term fixture that it discourages your ability to want or desire to want to be self-sufficient. You can't have any personal growth. This is why most Democrats, particularly the politicians, they looked at the hammock. You just sitting in the hammock. You real comfortable in it. And what Democrats decided to do, they said, you know what? Let's turn that into a voting strategy. They figured out that dependency is profitable for them, not for the people trapped in it, but for the people managing it. Think about it. The bureaucrats, they get a job. The politician, he gets or she gets a vote. Then you got the activist class, they get a grant. Then the poverty pulpit pimp preacher, he gonna get a platform and a little bread in his pocket. Then you got the NGOs, the nonprofits, they get a check. At the end of the day, you got the poor person at the bottom. All they get is just enough to survive. And we got a prime example of this in California, all the homelessness. All the money that they threw at homelessness, and now the homeless population has exploded, and it's more homeless, not less. Just give them just enough to survive, but not enough truth to be free. That is the government plantation. It will keep you alive, but it does not make you strong. Oh, they'll feed you, give you a little EBT, give you a little WIC, but you won't be free. They'll even show a little compassion and house you with some Section 8. It houses you, but it doesn't build for you, doesn't teach you how to build at all. Halfway. halfway educate your children, but doesn't equip them for life. And Lord forbid, if you question the system, they'll say, why are you attacking poor people? And you're like, what? I'm not attacking poor people. I'm attacking the people who are profiting from keeping the people poor. That's who I'm attacking. Big difference. So yes, I got a whole lot of smoke for the Congressional Black Caucus. These people have been in power since Jesus was an infant. They've been in power. And their districts are worse. Name me, I'm not even a big sports person, but my two friends, they use this analogy time and time again. They're like, name an NFL team that has a coach that loses every single game. Every single game. He don't have not one win under his belt. Like, do you see a coach like that? If after a while you don't get results, what do? They fire you. Who keeps the quarterback that's always getting sacked? He can't throw, he can't run. He just, like Kaepernick, he just can't do nothing. They get rid of him. We're the only ones that look at the Congressional Black Caucus and we assign some sort of intrinsic value to them because they lord over these majority Black districts, and we say they have to stay in power because we need representation. And you're like, well, what are they representing? Poverty? Crime? Poor educational outcomes? Government dependence? I mean, if that's your example of success, then hey, I guess it's working. I don't want that at all. The Congressional Black Caucus, y'all, it needs to be broken up. I hope every red state comes after every single district that's a Democratic stronghold, where it's the maps are drawn to loop all the Blacks in together. Y'all, they can't lose. They can't win without that. They cannot win an election, and it's not because they Black. It's because their ideas are trash. We know there's plenty of good white folks out here that will vote for a Black person because too many of them they fell for the psyop known as Barack Obama. They voted for the Black guy, not once, but twice. Because please believe me, it ain't like Barack Obama needed the Black vote to get over the finish line. He needed white people. And we've got too many examples of politicians who are Black who get voted into office by people who don't look like them. I'm telling y'all, they're just mad because the jig is up. They have been exposed. All we have to do is keep reminding people to look at the results. You're at the bottom. I'm going to do a separate video about this. I don't want to talk about it too much tonight, but I've got to give some commentary on what Stephen A. Smith said recently, where he said that he just, as an experiment, wants to see Black folks just one time vote Republican so that both parties can compete for our vote. Now, in essence, I understood what he was saying, but he still misses the point because he comes from it from like what I call an EBT Republican perspective by basically just moving or encouraging Black folks to move from being Democrat dependents to being Republican dependents. And I'm here to tell you, I'm gatekeeping like a mug. Don't come over here to the GOP begging, whining, and crying for free stuff. That is not who we are. You need to learn who we are over here before you listen to Stephen A. Smith. Of course, yes, I absolutely don't want you to vote for Democrats. But I also don't want you coming over here with your EBT Republicanism thinking you're going to beg for free stuff and then get mad when you don't get it. We don't do that. That's not who we are. What we do is create the necessary conditions to get out of your way for you to function in your own freedom. We don't give you free stuff. That's not going to happen. And if you find a Republican campaigning, making promises about give us free. Oh yeah, that's an undercover Democrat. Don't trust them. But the point I'm making is when Democrats, when they're trying to create these government dependents, what they do is they don't call it dependency. They call it social justice. You know they got a name and a label for everything, right? They never describe it as redistribution. They term it equity, right? And they're like, oh, we're just doing a little equity. It's redistribution. That's what it is. Then they don't label it as the equity as, well, we're lowering the standards. They'll say, no, it's access. Right before I went live, I was looking for a clip for something, and I was watching Charlie Kirk debate on campus. God, I miss Charlie. I really do. And he was debating this black guy who was trying to build his best argument in case for DEI. And Charlie Kirk used the example of, why do you think that the NBA is 75% black males? And dude was so obtuse that he tried to argue that the reason why the NBA is 75% black is because we integrated it and we now have access to it. And Charlie Kirk is looking at him like, bruh, that is not why the NBA is 75, 80% black. It's because the skill set of the black man, when it comes to this sport, they're the best. These NBA teams are not, like, if there was a mandate that said the NBA must be 50% white, where they gonna get these white folks that can hoop like the black dude can? Where you gonna find them? And the point Charlie was making was like, look, I'm a white dude. And Charlie was tall. He was like, we are aware of our deficiencies in mass, and we're not mad about it. The teams are what they are because the ones that are not recruited, what do they call it? Drafted. The ones that are drafted are the best. You can't have DEI in the NBA. It will not work. Why? Because the team owners and the coaches and the teams themselves want the team to win. They don't care about the vibe and the distribution of the ethnicity. They want to win. And if that means you're going to have a team with mostly black dudes and a few whites sprinkled in, we know the white people got there because they were the best. That's it. So they never describe this equity as equity, but they call it access, which is just dumb. When it comes to the family, they don't talk about or say, they never admit that they're actively trying to destroy the family. What they do is they hide their agenda under things such as liberation. So for example, with the heteronormative nuclear family in BLM, they didn't just come out and be like, we're trying to destroy, we don't want families. They're liberating women from the what do you call it? The oppression of a marriage. It's liberation. That's how they try to describe it. And you like, I don't think that's what that's supposed to yield. But if you don't believe me, the fruit tells what they're trying to do. You'll recognize them by their fruits. It's all out there for them to see. When you inspect the fruit, when equity enters education, the standards drop. Once the standards drop, who suffers? The students. When the students suffer, you know what the parents are told? The parents are told, well, racism's the problem. It's racism. And well, if the parent is like, well, it's racism must be the problem, then the parents stop demanding excellence. And if parents stop demanding excellence, now the child is trained to see, well, my failure is not my fault. And my failure is not a sign that I need to improve. It must mean that I'm oppressed. It's got to be oppression. Y'all, it's so bad. I got this other clip I want to show y'all. It is so bad that now we have, well, it ain't now that we have students that can't read. That's more of the norm versus the exception. Let me show y'all this clip. Take a look at this.
Read the index card for me.
She wore a suit, clothes that were. Who's this for? Extraordinary, but somewhat Gertrude?
Now explain what that means.
I don't know.
She wore a sahalat of clothes that were extraordinary, whatever, bro, but somewhat gooch.
What does that mean?
She wore a lot. Wait, she wore. Bro, I don't know, bro. Can you take the card back, please?
She wore a. Oh, baby. She wore a silhouette of clothes that were. Bitch, I don't know that word. I don't even know how to read. I don't know why I did it.
She wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary, but somewhat gauche.
All right, now what does that mean?
I have no idea. Like his clothes was nice or something like that.
She wore a. I don't know what this shit say. I don't know what this shit say. I don't know what this shit say. I can't read it. Can't read it. Can't read it. Cancel back.
Y'all, we got schools with children. These were seniors. These were seniors that cannot read. Do you think that's an accident? You think that just happened in a vacuum, or was that strategic? This is what Democrat policy gets you. The moment they start talking about we can't dismantle the Department of Education and we can't give you school choice, because if we give you school choice, then that means the money gonna be taken out of the school district and then the kids that no. They want you to sacrifice your child on the altar of that level of ignorance so that all the kids can be ignorant. Forget giving your kid a fighting chance. They want you to view it as the collective, so that collectively everybody can be ignorant. I bet you those kids can't read, but I bet you they can identify a microaggression. I bet you that. Or they can identify a microaggression. They can't do math, but they can explain systemic oppression. Cannot write a proper paragraph, but they can march. They know how to march and protest with a sign that's probably spelled wrong. And we're supposed to call this progress. This is what the Congressional Black Caucus is fighting so they can continue to represent that. This is not progress. Not only is that is educational malpractice. And they stamp a little DEI sticker on it. And the worst part is the same elites that are pushing this nonsense, they would never tolerate these kinds of standards for their own kids. You got Jamal Bryant out here sent all of his children to private school. They don't know nothing about this hood life. They don't know anything about poor educational outcomes like this. They got discipline and phonics and tutoring and a classical education in a private school, access to internships and legacy admissions and trust funds. But your kids, no, your kids get slogans. Slogans, and they get struggle sessions and drag queen story hours. That's what your kids get. Your children get restorative justice after Lil Malik and Tay Quayshawn throws and chucks a chair across the classroom and busts a teacher upside the head. That's what your kids get. Their kids get preparation and your children get propaganda. And then they tell you to be grateful because the school lunch is free. And you know some kids don't get to eat. And you're like, free? Don't nobody want that nasty Franken food? I mean, your child can't even read the menu on top of the fact that you're feeding them Franken food. But what? I guess we're supposed to praise God for the chicken nuggets? That's what we're supposed to do. This is where I need us to wake up. Y'all, the government does not need control of your child's education for your child to be educated. This is why from the beginning, I decided, I was like, no, I'm going to take my rightful place. Sacrifice and do whatever I got to do. I am not sharing custody of my children with the government. I refuse to do it. And every parent I know, I always encourage more of the same. Listen, forego the shoes, the purse, and the vacation. Somebody stay home and educate those kids. Because high school seniors talking while Siloe? The word was silhouette. So that means that's the first time. They've never seen that word before. They've never seen the word extraordinary. They've never seen it. Extraordinary? They've never seen that. That means they ain't picking up a book. So here's my call to Christians. Because the Christian, we're supposed to be the ones that know better. But sadly, and y'all know, listen, I'm an equal opportunity offender. I don't care. We're supposed to be the ones that know better. But sadly, it is the Black Christians who fall for this the most. And it's because too many of us are the ones that are sitting under a bunch of Black liberation theology pulpit pimps. And it's why we can't think straight. For some reason, let's be clear, the Bible does not teach laziness or envy or theft. The Bible doesn't teach that able-bodied people should live permanently dependent on the labor of others. That is actually sinful. If anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. The Apostle Paul penned that in 2 Thessalonians. Notice that Paul did not say, if anyone is not willing to work, let's create a federal program so Caesar can feed him. He didn't say that. He did not say, if anyone is not willing to work, let's blame capitalism and then call it systemic oppression. He said, if a person is not willing to work, let him not eat, meaning you starve. That is not cruelty. That is literally a biblical framework given to us under apostolic authority, and we are bound to live by that. Work is not just economic, it is spiritual. If when you work, you have to discipline your flesh. It builds character. It teaches you how to be responsible. Work gives a man dignity and gives women stewardship and gives children. It shows children this is the example of what they're supposed to be doing. It builds healthy families, and healthy families create strong communities, and strong communities build a strong nation. This is why every ideology that hates God also hates the biblical doctrine of work. Marxist, socialism, communism, it hates work. Because when you work, it produces independence. And they can't have independent people because independent people are too hard to enslave. This is why I call them the deacons of dependency. The Democrats, they hate this message. I got a target on my back as we speak because the pro-wokety woke blackety black, that whole crowd, they hate this message. Because if you learn to develop a healthy doctrine of work, and you ever think, I'm going to build a family, I'm going to educate my own children, I'm going to start a business. If you ever get your own finances in order and stop waiting on a politician to save you, they lose control. And that's the whole point. This is why you're seeing the crash out. Why they're trying to say, well, we're snatching the Black people's right to vote. Some of y'all just voted. Texas TX30 just had a primary, a runoff. Didn't they just have a runoff? Or is it coming up soon? What's today, the 7th? Was that on the 4th? I lost track of the time. Nobody is having a difficult time voting, but they will lie to you and tell you they're trying to take your right to vote. They didn't take your right to vote. What they did was free you from Black Democrat oppression and subjugation. And you didn't even realize. Like, just like Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed 1,000 slaves if they only knew there was a slave. You don't even know it. You don't even know that they've been having you on this comfortable plantation, just giving you just enough to make you think you free, but you're not. Let's get real practical. Why do I do content like this? My whole purpose of having this platform, I've never kept it a secret. I've always said, I want to make disciples of Christ. Yes, absolutely. But I also want to siphon as many people away that I can from the Democrat Party. I consider me persona non grata. So here's some political advice. It is no secret that I am a capitalist. I absolutely love capitalism. That's why I love being an American. And it's the number one reason why I love Donald Trump. He's a capitalist. He understands the way the world works. And the sad part is when some people hear me say capitalism and hear me talk about the virtues of capitalism, because they don't understand the way the world works, they immediately think, oh, so you just care about money. No, you brain dead moron. Capitalism is not greed. Greed is a sin that can exist in any system. I'm a Christian, so clearly I'm not advocating greed. That is sinful. Capitalism at its best is simply this. I create value based on my efforts, based on my own ingenuity that the good Lord gave me. I serve people. I solve problems. I take responsibility and I build something. I build, I own, I steward. I take risk and manage risk. It is a voluntary exchange. That's capitalism. Socialism, for the losers, is what am I owed? Right? Socialism is, well, who can I blame for my circumstances? The capitalist is out here saying, what can I build? The socialist is saying, who can I blame? While the capitalist is saying, what problem can I solve? The socialist is like, somebody needs to give me an opportunity because the entitlement of it. The capitalists say, I'm going to develop the skills, build the network, create the opportunities, and then walk through the door like I belong there, while socialism is training people, you got to see yourself as a victim of the systems, you know. That's all you hear coming from the black intelligentsia, and you be like, well, how come you not a victim of this system? Because the capitalism seems to be working well for you, but the rest of us are victims of the system. How does that work? Capitalism is so wonderful because it trains people to see themselves as stewards of opportunity. And no, there's no salvific value in capitalism. Capitalism saves no one. We know that. Jesus alone, Christ alone saves. Let's not get crazy and conflate the categories. I'm not preaching the gospel of Wall Street. What I am doing is simply exhorting people through a biblical principle of stewardship. You can't bury your talent in the ground and then blame the master because you were too afraid to do anything with what he gave you. You can't squander your time, neglect your children, refuse discipline, mock marriage, glamorize dysfunction, celebrate all kinds of ignorance and debauchery, and then look at the government and say, well, where's my check? You know what the Lord would say to you? You lazy, wicked servant, you. That's what you are. At some point, you got to grow up and repent of this foolishness. At some point, you've got to stop confusing compassion with coddling. And these Democrats, particularly the ones in the Congressional Black Caucus, they've been coddling you and you like it. You like it just like an overgrown pookie who still lives with his mama after 40. You like it. You like it, and this is what you've allowed the Democrat Party to do to you. You have got to stop letting these politicians give you spiritual EBT cards and then call it justice. Come on, but they're the only ones fighting for social justice. What rights do you not have that you think you need to still be fighting for? What is it that you want now that you don't have? What you think you need another program? Is that it? Tell me, go and tell mama, what is this program that you need? You don't need another program. I'll make it real simple. First of all, some of you just need to repent. It's that simple. First, you need to repent. And then after that, you need a plan. What is the plan? Get you some discipline. Get a plan. Then after that, we need responsible fathers and some virtuous mothers, which together will give us some more marriages. And then once you establish the marriages, we just need churches that are going to preach the Bible instead of the Democrat talking points. Jamal Bryant. We don't need any more of your black liberation theology heresy. We need faithful Bible teachers who are men that will preach the whole counsel of God and do it with their chest. That's what we need. After that, we just need some schools, preferably ones at home, but if not, some decent schools that teach reading instead of resentment. Because too many of these kids are growing up acting like a bunch of victims, and they live in the most freest time with access to more information than they know what to do with. So once you get your schools in order, communities that reward responsibility instead of all these ratchetings and celebrating the ratchetness. All of this simply, it boils down to one thing. It's so simple. We just need the truth. We need the truth. The most powerful institution that God created after the church is the family. That's why I talk about the family so much. It is literally the equivalent of the, or should I say like the original Department of Defense. Before we had a federal government, we had the family. Well before there was any welfare or a welfare office, there was the family. Before you had public school, a family. Before the Medicaid, before the Section 8, before all of it, there was the family. All these social workers before them, what did you have? A father and a mother. This is why every destructive ideology, it always attacks the family. When you have strong families, you don't need as much government. What is the government going to do with you? What is the government going to do for you when you got a strong family? A strong father that's protecting you. A strong mother that is nurturing you and teaching you and training you in the fear and admonition of the Lord. Modeling before you a strong, stable marriage in a home that educates, where those values transfer down to you. A strong family over time, and can do it in one generation, can build some wealth. They discipline the children so you don't have to have a school to prison pipeline. Strong families create healthy citizens who don't need policing because they govern themselves. And when you have people who govern themselves, that is a nightmare to a tyrant. Because they like, well, what are we going to do? I mean, they don't know what to do with themselves. That's why the war on fatherhood is so serious. Y'all, it is not a game. When fathers are removed, here come the government stepping in. Government want to be your baby daddy now. Because when the father is gone, now the bureaucrats become your guardian. They come alongside the single mother to help her raise her boy. That's why they mock fatherhood. Always depicting them on TV as the bumbling idiot who can't think for himself and figure anything out and make a decision. That's not by accident. That's by design. When the fathers are mocked, that's where you get weak boys. And when boys become weak, Morehouse, I see you raising all them saucy sodomites over there, dancing and prancing. When the boys become weak, the community is vulnerable. All the same time, you got the politicians who undermine the family. All they do is show up with another program, another grant, or another initiative, a whole nother equity plan that never produces the outcomes other than the ones we already see. So this message is absolutely for the Congressional Black Caucus. You are not fixing anything, and you know it. You are the problem. You are the problem, and we don't need more of what you're selling. We don't need the government to replace the family. We don't need the government to replace fathers. We need our fathers in the home. We don't want you messing with our kids. And so, parents, if you've been guilty and negligent of sharing custody of your children with the government, you need to repent, take responsibility, say from here on out, I'm going to do something different. Because you don't need these politicians that's promising you liberation. No, all you need is a household practicing some discipline. That's how you break the dependency. This is how you learn to leave these darn Democrats alone. We don't need another federal program. We need a family fortress. And government can't build that. That's something that you build. So, let me get to this super chat right here. As soon as I can click over there. Hello, Tommy Arful. Tommy, did I say that right? Tommy Arful? Hey, friend. How are you? Thank you so much for this super chat. I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate you stopping by, dropping a little something in our coffers. You guys, please don't forget, we are actively working on a film to educate and liberate and bring some truth to our people. It's called Slavery is a Choice. I talked about it probably 20, 30 minutes ago. I don't know how long it's been. But I'm working on this film in conjunction with Vince Everett Ellison. I've co-produced the film. I'm actually in the film. And y'all, this is one of many films, but this probably is the biggest project that I've worked on outside of Chad Jackson's film, MLK Motives Unmasked. So I am excited. We're going to be dropping more snippets of the film in the weeks to come. But in the meantime, I want you guys to check this out.
The great psychiatrist Carl Jung said, "It is not what happens to me, it's what I choose to become."
I'm not trying to scare nobody, but we are in danger.
In Slavery is a Choice, we ask the question, do you choose to be free or do you choose to be a slave?
So you feel like a victim? I'm a victim. I'm a victim of white supremacy. Yeah. And so are they holding you back financially? So, well, they can.
Most black people sit at the bottom of every socioeconomic statistic in America because we still deal with the same slave mentality that says, I had no choice.
Those of us that now insist that we're no longer being oppressed and that it's ourselves that are now our worst enemies are in fact gullible, naive, and are ignorant of the true reality.
If you walk around saying that you're oppressed, you're not a man. And you're not an American. When you say you're oppressed, I'm saying you're an heir of Jesus Christ, you're a child of God. Nobody can oppress you.
Our religious heritage is rooted in the regrettable experience of slavery.
And I'm scared. Scared.
When you talk about the vestiges of slavery, that is the vestige of it. A mentality that says, I cannot change my plight. I cannot change my life. I have no choice. The man who says he is free and the man that says he is a slave are both correct. Slavery is a choice.
All right, you guys. So as we wrap up this episode, let me just give you guys, if you'd like to support the film, you can do so. Here's the QR code. I think, oh, maybe it's not. Okay, I thought it was. Hold on. Let me see. Nope, that's good enough. You can use the QR code in that lower There you go. In the lower to my right, probably to your left, or look, don't worry about it. You know what a QR code looks like. If you need to pause it, do a screenshot, you can go ahead and support Slavery is a Choice by snapping a picture of that QR code. It'll take you straight to our Give Butter campaign. We are crowdfunding this film, and we are making such wonderful progress. Thank you so much to those of you who've already given so far. I have a treat for you guys. We haven't solidified the day that we want to do it. But me and Vince Everett Ellison are going to team up and do a live stream together. I want you guys to hear from him a little bit about the making of the film, what inspired us to do it, what you can expect to learn, and just giving you guys an understanding of his worldview. To be clear, I had to be sold and convinced of this concept of slavery being a choice. When I first started working with Vince Everett Ellison, and the first time he said that, I was like, "You're crazy." I was like, all right, pimping, you done gone a little too far." And so what makes this film so powerful, and the reason why I can be so passionate about it on this side, is because I had to be convinced first, and I wasn't. And I've already gone through every rebuttal. I've already gone through, all of the opposition and things that one would say to attempt to refute this. And it was just irrefutable. I could not refute it. And so what you're going to see in the film is this evolution of convincing, and you too are going to be convinced. So you can go ahead and give to the documentary, to the finalization of the film, by accessing the QR code there, or utilizing the link. I believe I dropped the link in the chat a moment ago. And I thank you in advance for your support. I really, really do. In the meantime, we've got some more super chats that have just come in. And where's my applause? Hi, anonymous source says, "This goes for poor white folks too. I know, I've been there. Everyone can pull themselves up out of poverty and government dependence." I agree. I absolutely agree with that sentiment. Thank you so much for that comment. There we go. I knew it was something I was on the wrong thing. Hi, Red Cobblestone Road. Thank you so much for your super chat. It says, "Thank you so much for talking about the family." Listen, the reason why I talk about the family so much, and I encourage people to be devoted family builders, is because I was raised in a broken home. Love my mama. We're not trying to re-adjudicate her choices and how things ended up. God was sovereign over all of that. But my parents divorced when I was 4 years old. And so I understand the deficiencies that are present in both boys and girls when your home is broken due to, kids, we don't have nothing to do with that. We like, look, we just want a family. Like, all those adult problems, we're like, what does that have to do with us again? Like, children just need stability. And I understand that because of sin, things happen and couples break up. But my goal is not to provide a whole list of exceptions and to deal with the outliers. I just want to deal in the not in the margins, in the centerfold, in the center, to encourage people that as much as it depends on you, to actively work to keep your families intact. That's really what my message is. I am not naive. I understand sin happens, broken people hurt other broken people and cause pain to others. That is very real. But like I said, as much as it depends on you, do what you can do, because you can't control another person. You stay. If you are a father, you lead. If you lead, you protect, you provide, you do all of the things. You discipline. If you're a mother, you nurture. You train in the fear and admonition of the Lord. The mother is the first teacher in the home. It is where you learn so many of your life skills. If you are single, prepare yourself. Build wisely. Spend this time trying to determine what are the things that I'm deficient in so that I can be a wife or that I can be a good husband. But we got to stop romanticizing this dysfunction. Okay? It's just that's not helping us at all. So stop romanticizing the dysfunction, and as much as it depends on you, don't glamorize the chaos. Stop calling the brokenness that we see in our culture. Stop calling that Black culture, because it's not. It's just dysfunction. Another exhortation, like I said, develop a healthy doctrine of work. I cannot stress that enough. Teach it to your children. Everybody in this family works. They've been working since they were probably like 4, 6, and 8, maybe younger than that. Work is not oppression. Okay, work's not white supremacy either. It's not capitalism abusing you. Work is God's way. He instituted it as a part of our the way human beings are to exercise dominion and stewardship in the earth. That you were made to work. If you can work, work. If you need better work, get some better skills. If you need better skills, humble yourself and learn. These are like real practical things. And number 3, if the goal is I'm trying to get you away from these darn Democrats, you got to change your mindset. You have to start thinking like a builder and quit all of the begging, whining, and crying. First of all, if you're a man, it is not a good look. Nobody respects a man that's begging, whining, and crying. Like, don't be like Ricky Smiley, talking about you out here, you scared and that you a victim of white supremacy. What? We can't build a community with the men talking like that. Quit the begging, whining, and crying, and ask yourself something very simple every week. What can I build? What is it that I don't know that I can learn? Is there something that I can sell that's legal, not slinging dope, but what can I sell, right? Like, what problem can you solve? What skill can you sharpen? What relationship that is unstable that you can strengthen? Start saying, well, what debt can I pay off? Or bad habit can I break? How much weight can I lose? Listen, there's so many things that we can be doing to improve upon things other than focusing on what the government ain't doing for us and the whining and the crying and the begging. Like, your outcomes would improve themselves if you just worked on yourself and didn't look to the government to fix your problems. Ask yourself, what opportunity can you create? It's real simple. Take some responsibility. I know it sounds easier said than done, but we got to do it, y'all. We got to do it. So anyway, I'm about to wrap it up here. I think I have said all that needs to be said. Yes, as the Apostle Paul said, renew your mind. The renewal of the mind comes through the power of the Holy Spirit. When we are regenerated and born again, it is something that happens in the process of sanctification, which is something that occurs throughout your entire Christian walk. And some of us grow at different paces. We're not all growing at the same rate, right? Sanctification, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. But you're growing in the grace and knowledge of God. But it is difficult for me to understand how you can claim the name of Christ and be a victim at the same time. Those two are just not compatible. So that's why I struggle to understand how a lot of individuals who share my ethnic reflection, who go to churches like New Birth, can be victims, yet claim to be children of the Most High God, and talk about being oppressed and systemic racism and white supremacy. Like, these are categories that are foreign to the Christian. That's why I'm saying what you're getting at these churches is not Christianity. It is a false religion with a false gospel that cannot save you, because there is no freedom and hope or life in Christ, or life through Christ in those worldviews. he's preaching plantation politics and teaching you how to be an obedient slave to the Democrat Party. And it's just the most oh God, it's horrible. My heart grieves for the people who are still over there, and believe me, they're not victims. I told y'all before Jamal got there, I used to go to Newburgh. I wasn't a victim, but I was held captive to my own sinful desires, thinking that prosperity was the path to eternal life, and it wasn't. So tomorrow, you guys, I debated covering this because I don't know how interested you guys are in this, but I was watching a video today by Pink Book Lessons. I absolutely love her channel. She's a faceless channel, but that chick is so funny. She covered the FTC probe into the network marketer, the city girl boss chick, Stormy, I was gonna say Stormy Daniels, Stormy Wellington. If you haven't watched, or if you're not familiar with who that is, I'll probably bring you guys up to speed tomorrow if I decide to cover it. If I cover it, I can't just cover it for the sake of covering it. I got to figure out, why is this important to you, and why is it even relevant to you, and what can you learn from it? So I'm still trying to figure out all of that. But I will say this. I find that Black women in particular, we are very gullible and prone to being beguiled by a lot of these networking scams. And I think that's the angle that I want to come. I think I want to discuss it from that angle, about how this woman has amassed an enormous amount of wealth by basically hustling us out of our money by promising us something that she doesn't have the ability to provide. So I'm working on it. It's in my head. I just have to kind of flesh it out. But we'll probably talk about that tomorrow. And then I'm probably going to cover the pro tem Speaker of the House in the state of Virginia, the 82-year-old Black woman who was raided by the FBI. Yeah, is it me, or are all Black Democrats criminals? Like, I'm not saying all of them are, but it just seems to be a recurring theme with Black female Democrats. It ain't even the Black male Democrats. It's the Black female Democrats. What is going on with Black female Democrats? Why are we just committed to a life of criminality? Whether it's Sheila Shefferless McCormick, the sheriff down there in Louisiana, the what's the other? The one in North Carolina, the one in, was it Oklahoma City? We just down bad. These Black female Democrats are straight criminals, and they all going down. They are all going down. I'm not celebrating their downfall. I'm just stating the obvious. Anyway, listen, you guys. It is 10:47. I need to get going. I'm doing so much better on my sleep. I would like to report to let you guys know. I was going to say the Lord healed me of my hot flashes, but it really wasn't. It was just hormones. Oh, God. Just celebrate with me. Y'all don't have a fan? I have no fan here. I'm doing so much better. I am working with a beautiful girlfriend and sister of the Lord of mine. And then so many of my subscribers also reached out to me and was like, look, you need to go and get some hormone replacement therapy, or you're going to kill yourself and your kids, and you're going to end up telling God that they died. So so I did that, and I'm doing so much better. I'm getting my weight under control, y'all. I dropped, since November, I have I can't do the math. How much weight I lost? I lost enough to where I ain't chubby no more. Y'all remember, like, I'm not gay no more? I think I want to come out with a song to my I'm not chubby no more. I'm down like 17 pounds. So praise God, y'all. It had to go. Your your girl's back was spreading, you know. We can't have that. You got to keep it tight and right. Anyway, okay, so sleep, Anonymous, it's getting better. It's not all the way there. The insomnia is still problematic, but it's better. I had the best night's rest last night that I've had in a very, very long time. And then the night before that was decent as well. I think it's because I've been working out. It might be that. I don't know. That's anecdotal. I ain't gonna lie. The only reason why I was working out is because I'm getting old and I don't need to be losing muscle. So I was like, let's get to hit these weights. So, you know, it's coming in. It's coming in. We'll see. Anyway, I love you guys. Until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace. I'm April Chapman.
And I'm Vince Everett Ellison. There's a victim narrative here in the United States of America that says you have no control over your lives, no control over your agency. And they're basically saying that you're an animal, that you're a slave. I don't believe that. I don't think it's ever been the case. As an heir of Jesus Christ and as a child of God, I cannot be oppressed. I cannot be a victim. I do not think I am, nor do I think that any American ever has been, or any person. Even when it comes to slavery, I believe, and I think they will hold true, that slavery was a choice. You know why I know? Because people are choosing to be slaves now. So I'm making a documentary to debunk the myth that any human being or any American is held under bondage without their permission, even if they have to kill or give their lives to be free. Freedom is a choice, and slavery is a choice also.
We're asking you to partner with us. We are here. We have begun filming Slavery is a Choice, and it's an incredible documentary that outlines Vince's argument to prove to the world that slavery is absolutely a choice. I've partnered with him in the executive producer position, and we are appealing to our audience, you guys, those who watch us faithfully every single week, to help us bring this film to market. We've begun a crowdfunding campaign, and we're going to link the opportunity in the description below for you to partner with us and give any amount to help us bring this project to market. Slavery is absolutely a choice, and we know that slavery is a choice because we're choosing it today with many of the decisions that we continue to make to our own detriment. So we're hoping that you guys will partner with us, and we want to bring this film to market in summer of 2026. So click the link down below. And I'm April Chapman.
And I'm Vince Everett Ellison. Freedom is a choice, but in order to be free, you must be brave. In order to not be a slave, you must believe in Jesus Christ. So believe in freedom, believe in courage, be courageous, assist us in this project, and let's set and make other people free by being true blue Americans, true blue patriots, true blue Christians, believing in ourselves and believing in the future ahead. Thank you.